Yo, listen up, I got a story about a teacher, Mr. Wright. Yeah, he's a biology creature. In the classroom, he's spitting knowledge like a preacher. With his lab coat on, he's the lyrical feature. He's got test tubes and beakers mixing up that potion, teaching us about cells and the process of mitosis.
Hi Year 11s, welcome to our next video for infectious diseases. Today we're going to be looking at physical barriers to disease. This goes along with 2.6 in your workbook. So to start with, we're going to go through not just physical barriers, but we're going to talk about what the immune system is. So in terms of the immune system, there are thousands of pathogenic microorganisms that survive and reproduce by infecting a human host. We've talked about pathogens. We know that pathogens have evolved to have strategies for exploiting the human body. In response, our bodies have evolved a specialized immune system to defend against those infectious diseases. Our immune system specifically made up of a group of specialized molecules, cells, tissues, and organs that defend an organism against pathogens and other foreign materials. There's 4 structural components of the immune system that we need to talk about, which are the thymus, the spleen, bone marrow, and the lymphatic system. So continuing on with the immune system, looking at those 4 parts, the thymus, the spleen, bone marrow, and the lymphatic system. Thymus is the organ located in the front of your heart. It's responsible for producing white blood cells called T lymphocytes, which will be important as we move on in the future weeks. The spleen is an oval-shaped organ situated on the left side of your upper abdomen, and the spleen is a location where proteins called antibodies, again something we'll talk about in the coming weeks, are produced. Antibodies are involved in neutralizing pathogens, which will be a big part of our topic coming up. This is where the topic starts to get a little bit more challenging. Bone marrow is located in the center of your bones. This is where our red blood cells, our white blood cells, and platelets are produced. And those platelets help clot blood, and white blood cells are, again, another component in neutralizing pathogens. Lastly, we have our lymphatic system, which consists of a network of small vessels that carry a special fluid called lymph, hence lymphatic system. Lymph, again, consists of white blood cells. These white blood cells are called lymphocytes, and they are neutralizing invading pathogens. So, we're getting an idea of what the immune system does. Now, if we're talking about why we have it, basically the human immune system stops any microorganism penetrating the barriers of a host, and if it gets past the barrier, then they have the resistance of the human body. So there's 2 types of immune responses. There's the non-specific, also known as the innate immune system, and there's the specific immune system, also known as the acquired immune system. So the non-specific or innate, this involves physical barriers, chemical mediators, while the specific response involves chemical mediators. We are focusing on the non-specific today, mainly the physical barriers, but mostly just in general the non-specific. So, non-specific immune response. Like I said, this is often called the innate response or the innate immune response, and it offers resistance to any microorganism or foreign material that's encountered by the host. It's a non-specific response. It's responding to any pathogen. This is like the first line of defense. It's made up of cells and tissues, physical barriers, and chemical mediators. Like I said, first line of defense. It responds in the same way for each infection. So, specific immune response, we're not going to cover this much in detail, I'm just explaining what it is. This is, again, often called acquired immunity. This is how our body provides resistance to a specific foreign agent. So it responds specifically based on the pathogen that's invading your body. This is like our second line of defense once the first line of defense hasn't worked. It's made up of lymphocytes, B and T cells, talk about them later, and chemical mediators. Once it does this, it also creates memory cells of invading pathogens, so once you've encountered them the first time, you won't get sick from them the second time because your body has memory of how to fight it off, and it can fight it off before you get sick again. So the memory cells are just there essentially to improve your immune response with future encounters. Okay, let's go back to that first line of defense and let's talk about specifically physical barriers. So 3 physical barriers we're going to talk about here: skin, eyes, and blood. Skin, we've got closely packed cells. They're providing a barrier for entrance. Our skin also has harmless bacteria colonies that prevent colonization from invading or dangerous pathogens. And we also have our sebaceous and sweat glands, secreting compounds that are lowering the pH of the skin, as well as lysosome, which is digesting the cell walls of any dangerous pathogens or bacteria. Now, we do obviously have some holes in our skin, such as in our eyes. Eyes, the example we're using here, we have lacrimal glands in our eyes that are producing tears, and when we blink, we spread those tears over the surface. Those tears remove substances, and they also have further enzymes in them that digest bacterial cell walls, preventing bacteria from ever getting into our bodies. And lastly, in our blood has platelets that are going to help clot and seal open wounds to prevent pathogens from getting in from any cuts in our skin. Now, we also have other ways that that pathogens can get in beyond our skin. So our respiratory system, we have our nose, we have our mouth, we have our digestive system as well with our mouth, and etc. So our respiratory system, nose, trachea, and bronchi, they're all lined with mucous membranes. Those mucous membranes consist of cells that secrete mucus. Mucus is very viscous and traps pathogens until they can be killed by digestive enzymes and acids. We also have epithelial cells that line the respiratory tract, and they have something called cilia, which are movable hairs. So they keep sweeping the mucus out, and if pathogens are stuck in that mucus, they sweep the pathogens up and out, and we cough them out as phlegm before they enter the lungs. So that's why sometimes you're coughing up phlegm, it's your body kicking out pathogens that are trapped in the mucus. Digestive system, on the other hand, we have our saliva that has digestive enzymes that defend against pathogens that come in through our mouth. If they get through our digestive system, then we have our stomach containing of digestive enzymes and hydrochloric acid that will decompose those pathogens. And then we also have harmless intestinal bacteria that prevents any harmful bacteria from colonizing our intestines because they have to compete with the harmless ones that live there and help us out.